Hello, welcome to another episode under relation and function. We are taking the types of function. Let's begin with the first one, which is one-to-one function. What is a one-to-one function? One-to-one function is a function that has a different element in the set X, meaning a different element in the domain, with that different element also has a distinct image in the codomain. So for example, if I have this relation or function whereby each element in the domain has only one image in the codomain. So this is the function f of what? From x to y. So you can see each element here has only one element in the codomain. If I'll have, let's say, if I have this also, we can also check and see whether this is a function of g from x to y. This is A. How many images A having? Having only one image. B has only one image. C has only one image. So this is also one-to-one function. If in case we want to say that this element here, I, is having two of the object mapping to it, so it means that the image here, 1, is for both A and C. This will defeat the one-to-one function. Now, mathematically, if a function is one-to-one, it means if I take f of A, it should be equals to f of B, which also implies that your A should be equals to B. That's a mathematical representation of what? A one-to-one function. So if a function is one-to-one, meaning one element in the domain mapped to only one element in the codomain, then mathematically we can find the f of A should be equals to f of B, or the A should be equals to B. Let's know how we can prove these two statements. So we have to show that the function f of x equals to 3x plus 7 is a one-to-one function. Meaning if we are to find the image of the values in the domain, will they have one-to-one relation? We know that that will be true from this definition. Therefore, if f of A equals to f of B, implying A equals to B, then the function is one-to-one. Therefore, taking the first one, f of A of the function, that will be 3 of A plus 7. If I pick this, f of B will also be 3b plus what? 7. So now that we are saying that f of A should be equals to f of B, we can equate the two equations or the two algebraic functions, which is going to be 3a plus 7 should be equals to 3b plus what? 7. So what do we do? Since you're having plus 7, we subtract 7 from both sides. 7 from here will give you 0. 7 from here will give you 0. So you're left with 3a equals to 3b. Since each have the same coefficient, we divide through by what? By 3. And that will give us a equals to what? B. So since a equals to b, the function f of x equals to 3x plus 7 is a one-to-one what? Function. So it could be of any relation at all given to you. All you need to do is to prove that the f of A is equals to f of B, implying that the A and B are equal as a function of one-to-one. Alright. So as the types continues, we also have many-to-one function. And a many-to-one function, we are saying that several elements in the first set, which is the domain, map to only one element in the codomain. So for example, we are saying many, meaning several elements in the domain map to only one element in the codomain. So let's pick the image 5 and see how many objects or elements in the domain map to it. 15, and 45 map to 5. 12, 24, 36 also map to 12. So you can see several elements coming to one element only in the codomain. So this is a many to one function. Okay. So for the identity mapping, we know the word identity simply means the same. So if we have each element in the domain mapped to itself in the codomain. So if each element in the domain mapped to itself in the codomain, we call it identity word mapping or identity function. The domain, let me use D to state the values. 2, 3, 4. This is our domain. Let's go for codomain. 2, 3, 4. Let's go for range. 2, 3, 4. So under identity mapping or function, the domain, the codomain, and the range are the same. The set of the domain and the codomain and that of the range are the same. So this is what we call identity word function or mapping. Then we have onto function. When we are talking of onto function, it means that the domain, the codomain, and the range are the same. Meaning every element in the codomain has a mapping from the first set. So typical example is this. We can say that our codomain is made up of a set of 2, 3, 4. Then our range is also made up of 2, 3, 4. Meaning the codomain and the range are the same. Then that becomes onto function. If it is into, it means that all these elements are moving into, leaving, for example, 5. This is going to have a codomain of 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the range of 2, 3, 4. Meaning the range is now subset of the codomain. That become into function. But this is onto function. Of even function. So even function is a function whereby f of x is equals to f of negative x. That could also be more or less into a quadratic function that is given unto us. So if I have a function of this that map to x to the square plus 3, this could be considered an even function, because if I take the negative here, put it here, that is going to be negative 2 square plus 3. Negative 2 square will be 4 plus 3 is 7. Then if I take the f of x, which is the positive of the x, so if it is 2 that I'm using, then it is going to be positive 2 square will also be 4. Negative 2 square will also be 4. So that becomes an even function. So if you want asked to prove that a function is even, use the inverse of the number. So if I'm giving 4, the inverse of that will be minus 4. So if 4, function of 4 in the function is the same as the function of negative 4, then I can say that is what? An even function. Then in the case of odd function, that will be the f of x equals to negative of the f of the negative x. Meaning if the first one, which is a positive number, so positive 1, plays into the function, if the result is a negative of the inverse, simply put the negative of the even function, then both the positive and the negative of the even function, if they are the same, then we can also say that that function is an example of what? Odd function, and that could be x to the power 3 plus 1. So we know definitely that if x to the power 3 is if negative is here as negative 2, negative 2 raised to the power 3 will give us negative 8. But seeing the negative is behind, that negative multiply negative 8 give us positive 8. So the positive 2 placed here will still be 8 plus 1, 9. So the cubic functions can be considered as what? Odd function, while the square functions can be considered as what? An even function. And there is a case whereby we also have what they call constant function, whereby we can say that each of the elements in the domain map to only one element in the codomain, meaning the range is only one element. So we can take that to be f of x equals to what? K, where k is the constant. So if I have a, b, and I have 1, so you can see that all the elements map to only one set out there. So the range is 1. In there, we can call that as what? A constant what? Function. So these are the various types of function. Per the one-to-one, in the next episode, we take series of questions to prove that a function is what? One-to-one. Then all other subtopics will follow. If you grab the concept, please share with your learning mate or somebody on the contact list that may need this tutorial. Like and leave a comment for us to get interactive. Bye bye.